Do you struggle to win fights in ranked, or maybe you just can't seem to win a ranked game? If so, then this video is for you. I am one of the top ranked players in NA, and today I'm going to be covering 7 different ways to become a better fighter. And the best part is, these techniques are very easy to master. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you all so much for 40k subs. Make sure to use code Farley and check out my other socials if you haven't. But now onto the video. First off, if you want to become a god fighter, let's talk about the best way to full box your opponent, and that is with using high walls. High walls are going to allow you to piece control your opponent when they're on high ground. A perfect example of how to do this in a fight would be right here. I'm on the edge of zone holding another player, and he's going to build up on me, so I'm going to start to spray him out, and I'm going to get some opening damage to start out this fight. After I get that little bit of damage, the other player is going to try to build up again, so I try to meet him with my builds, but he's able to get high ground on me. Notice how he has this wall here. I make sure to track him in case you were to edit. He realizes that I'm looking at him, so obviously he's going to build up. And when the player is going to build up, I'm going to make sure to shoot a sticky launcher to chop him out, and then I'm going to spray him and get an insane amount of damage. At this point, he's super weak, so I need to close the distance so that he doesn't have time to med up. So I build up, and I start to apply pressure. When I realize the player's a floor above me, I'm going to side jump off the cone, and then I'm going to catch myself with the floor, and then I'm going to place a ramp in front of me and a ramp past me. This will then block the player off, and it'll put a ramp in his face. Now he's going to realize, oh, I got to get out of this box. But now I have control over his box, and I'm going to make sure to place a wall in front of me, edit it so he can't build a wall, and then I'm going to full box him. After I full box him, I make sure to make this left tile edit. The reason for this is if you made a front tile edit, the other player would be able to shoot me before I could see him. But since I make this edit, the other player is now completely trapped. He's put in timeout, and I'm able to pump him and then pick up a quick kill before he was able to get any damage on me. And after I pick up that kill, you'll notice that throughout this entire fight, I took 0 damage. So make sure when you're fighting in rank, you learn how to use high walls and high ramps so that you can piece control your opponent. Moving on now from high walls, let's talk about the best way to end fights quickly in mid game, and that is by cutting off angles. Cutting off angles is going to force your opponents to make bad decisions, which you can counter on. A perfect example of this would be right here. After picking up a kill in zone, I'm then going to start to run in, but I notice to my right there's another player running in. So I make sure to run around the left side and then cut in to cut him off, so now I'm in front of him when the zone closes. Now that I've gotten in front of this player, I'm then going to see him running in the open, and I'm going to wait for the right moment to spray. And the right moment to spray is when he turns his back. That way I can get the most opening damage without him shooting back at me. After I get about 70 damage on him, I'm going to pull out my bat and start to push him. Now as I'm pushing this player, he makes a big mistake of building in wood. Never do this in a fight, because the player that pushes you is just going to be able to apply pressure, and you're never going to have time to med up. Now as I push this player's box, I notice that this space in the back is open, and this wall is open to the left. So that means I should drop on this wall because that's where he's going to be. I drop in, but he places a ramp in front of me, so I know he's trying to leave that box. So again, I'm going to change angles and go to the opposite side to cut him off. When I drop down on his box, I pump it, and then I spray with my drum gun, but I notice he places a ramp. This means he's probably going to double it up. So all I'm going to do is cut off that angle, jump up in the air, pump the wall, and then spray the player. After I pick up this kill though, notice how I'm not going to be greedy. I'm not going to pick up any of the loot, and I'm instantly going to create a 2x1 of space. This is because where I'm located on the map, you never know when you're going to get third partied. So make sure when you get into a fight, you cut off angles so that the player doesn't have time to med up. Now when fighting in ranked, every player you run into is going to have a different playstyle, but it always seems that every game you play, you run into an aggressive player that's always trying to jump into your box. So really quickly, let's show all of you how to fight against an aggressive player that has a minigun. A simple example of this would be right here. I'm fighting this player, and I'm going to pick up a quick kill, but as I pick up that kill, I'm not going to be greedy for the loot, and I'm instantly going to expand and create space. Because right now, I'm in the middle of the map, and that means anyone could push over and third party me. When I pop the meds, what do you know? A third party from earlier, the guy that was spamming me with a minigun, is going to start to push me again. Now since I know this player has a minigun, I know I'm going to need to do counter damage in some way so that he can't just be the aggressor and keep spamming me. So as soon as he flies at me with the car, I'm instantly going to jump up and look for counter damage so that I can shoot him, and then he can stop pushing me. I hit him for only 50, so it's not really enough for him to stop pushing me. So now he's going to build up, and he starts to build like crazy, and I'm on 50 ping right now, so I know I can't really compete with that, and he has a minigun. So when he starts to build up, again, I'm going to look for counter damage, and I want to be the aggressor here, because a lot of people will just try and hold their builds against a minigun, and from personal experience and what you guys have probably experienced, that doesn't work. So instead, what I'm going to do here is when this player approaches my box, notice how I'm tracking him with my crosshair as he approaches me. When I was tracking this player, I noticed he was moving out to the left. I realized I needed to change angles and catch him off guard. So I'm going to do a little sprint jump out to my left to catch the player off guard. He still thinks I'm down below, but now I've caught him off guard with a wide edit, and I'm able to one pump him and pick up a quick kill against an unreal player with a minigun. And after I get that kill, notice again, I block off my back and I create a bunch of space. just in case I were to get jumped in on. So make sure if you're getting third-partied by a player with a minigun, you look to do counter damage and you look to be the aggressor in the fight. Moving on now, let's talk about the biggest issue in ranked that everyone has to deal with, and that is third parties. It seems every single time you pick up a kill in mid or early game, you're going to get third-partied because of all the movement items that have been added this season. Now, there's a few ways to avoid getting third-partied, but the best and most consistent way to avoid getting third-partied is not being greedy. Now, an example of how to not be greedy would be right here. I'm driving around and I see two other people fighting in brutal boxcars. Obviously, I'm going to go be the loser that I am and go third-party that. So I shoot this player in the back for a little bit of damage and I'm going to start to push him. Now, I notice there's a player above him, so I'm going to aggress that player instead, but he drops onto the opposite wall. So now I'm going to pinch this player with the other guy. And I notice there's no cone in his box when I fall onto the ground. So instead of just trying to swing on his wall, I'm going to go under, hold a cone, and then place it in his box. This now forces him to leave that box, and now I have peace on him, and now obviously he's nervous, he's trying to run out, he gets caught in an awkward position, he can't build, and I'm able to pump him in the back and pick up a quick kill. And I know the other guy right next to us is obviously going to try and third party me. So to avoid dying, I'm going to sprint over, grab the loot, not worry about what else is in the loot, and then instantly create a box of space. After I get the box of space, notice how I go look at him and see what he's doing. And when I see that he's going to try and jump into my left wall, I'm going to go and create a 2x1 of space so that I have time to breathe. And this player does try to jump into my box, so I'm able to pump him and get some damage off, but he cracks me, so now I'm weak. Now at this point from this position, this isn't a good peek to go from because this player obviously has a right hand peek on me. So to avoid dying in this situation, I'm going to need to change the angle up so I don't die. So instead of going for this wall right here, I'm going to place a wall in front of me, flip up the cone, and then I'm going to edit out to my left. And then I know this player's still going to be looking here, and I know he's going to be exposed if I edit this wall right here. So I sprint over to my left, create some space, and then I edit the left wall, and I'm able to pump the player and pick up a quick kill. Also, notice how I reset the wall. This is just a good habit to have. If the player didn't die and he did shoot at me, I could have died. Now, I understand that every single one of you watching this video isn't going to be a god at the game and you're going to make mistakes, but it's very important that while you're fighting in ranked, you learn from your mistakes in the middle of a fight. So let's use this fight as an example right here. I see this player below me while I'm driving with a car. Obviously, I'm going to jump out and I'm going to bloom battle him. Now, when we bloom battle, I'm able to outdamage him, so I hit him for 60, and then I'm going to start to push him. Now, when I push this player, he swaps to his hard mats, and he creates a 2x1 like he should. But I noticed the floor isn't placed yet, so I'm going to steal it for my own, and then I know he can't edit on me, so I'm going to double swing. It wouldn't be smart to double swing here, because he could just double edit on you, but since I get that floor, I can now just steal the cone, and I'm able to crack him. When I crack him, though, I notice I overexposed myself with this edit, and I put myself in a 50-50. So to learn from this mistake in the middle of the fight, I'm now going to build a wall in front of me, build off to my right, and then I'm going to edit a right hand peek. So now I have peeker's advantage, and you'll notice that from this POV right now where I'm standing, I'm fully protected, and where the other player is standing, he can barely see me. That means I don't take any damage when I shoot, and I'm able to pick up that quick kill. Moving on now, I want to talk about one of the biggest mistakes that all players make in Endgame, and that is making the wrong rotations and their timing of rotations. A lot of players will take the wrong routes to zone, and for that reason they get held at the back of zone and they get sprayed and they die. So a simple example of what not to do would be right here. I'm sitting in zone, as you can see. I am in the best position out of anyone in this game, and this other player we're going to be focusing on is right here on the edge of zone. Now this player is going to decide to rotate last second. Now right as the zone closes, this player is about to rotate, and you're going to see that he gets held in zone and gets sprayed by me. This is a bad rotation because this player is running in the open and he's super exposed, and also he's running at the last second. Anyone with a brain like myself is just going to look back and hold you in zone. So instead, you need to take a different route to zone. So instead of running through this area right here of the map that's completely open and where I can see the player from, I would go down more the center. So from this point here, I would rotate in. Even though this player's here, I would be protected by the tree and the player on height wouldn't be able to see me. Then from this point right here, the other player could see me if I ran out in this direction. So I'm going to make sure to mirror him and run under him so that I'm protected. But this player obviously makes the mistake of going in this direction, and he's going to get held in zone, get sprayed, and he's eventually going to die. Moving on now, I want to talk about the best ways to actually be good at rotations, and that is by mirroring high ground. A simple example of this would be right here. This is me on high ground, and I'm going to start to build out into zone. Now when I build out into zone, it's very important that I don't build over the dead center of zone because I'll have a blind spot. So I need to make sure that I build out at an angle. Notice how I don't have that many mats, but I'm going to make sure to build out to the right to make sure that I have an angle to see down. Now this other player is going to box up and he's going to chill in zone. But this other player is going to do the right thing. He's going to go under me and he's going to mirror high ground. See how he's right below me? This means I can't look down and spray him. But the other player is staying down the dead center of zone. And since I build out at this angle, this is going to allow me to look down, have an angle, and then I can start to shoot the other player. This means he now is forced to box up in zone, and he's going to start to pop his medkits. But the other player was smart enough to get under me, and that means he's going to stay alive longer. Now that is going to wrap up this video, so if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost at 40k subs, and if you want to see how to become the best fighter possible, go check this video out. But with that, I'm out. Peace.